everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show, normally every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be going over all of the day's big movie news, as well as going over what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. Because of my work schedule, I've actually had to cancel Wednesday's episode, but I am doing a special episode today, and a special episode on Thursday, so be on the lookout for that. But without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. After months and months of worry and concern, we now have our first official look at the upcoming new version of Fantastic Four. And they've been saying for a while, like Simon Kinberg and even Josh Trank himself have been saying, this is going to be a completely unique movie. It's going to be a different film. It's not what you're going to be expecting. It's going to subvert everybody's expectations of what they think this movie is going to be. A lot of people, I think, have been connecting this movie to the Fantastic Four films that came out in the mid-2000s, where it being more of a family comedy, having a really lighthearted tone. They've said from the beginning this movie is going to be different than that, but I think we've all been assuming that. Now, for the past, almost ever since it was announced, I have been defending this movie. A lot of people out there have been hating on it, and my willingness to defend the movie has been waning in recent weeks, mainly just because we've been hearing so many negative things about this movie, whether it be conjecture, rumors, or just somebody trolling the internet. We've been hearing a lot of this negative stuff about the movie, things that are damaging its reputation. People now are trying to rationalize their hatred for the film after seeing the trailer, and they're not doing a very good job because they've brainwashed themselves now into thinking this movie is ultimately going to be bad. Regardless of what they see, regardless of the reviews, they know, oh, those people are just, they're being paid off to say that. And, to me, it's really weird. But up until now, we haven't gotten anything from them. And so that's been leading to a lot more concern, a lot more doubt that they have no confidence in this property. But really what it was, and Josh Trank and Simon Kinberg did this lengthy interview at Collider that was uploaded yesterday. And they talked about how it was a conscious effort on their part to not release anything. They did not want to release anything until they were ready. Now, they've said that part before, that they wanted to be ready for it. But this was a conscious effort to contain the information because they said that we now live in an age where we can almost watch the entire movie before we've actually seen it, whether it be through all the trailers, through all the pictures, every bit of plot information that's been announced or released or anything of that sort. And they really tried to contain that as much as they could. And you really do, at the end of the day, you have to commend them for being able to keep a lot of this stuff under wraps. Now, there have been certain things that have leaked out, like the initial shoulder and head bust of the Thing, the one shot of Doctor Doom. Those things did leak out, and as it turns out, those look to be fairly accurate. As well as the leaked plot synopsis, which evidently Fox confirmed shortly after it was actually announced. But everything else, they've kept really highly guarded, and I'm actually surprised in this day and age that none of this stuff got leaked out. Every comment that people have been posting about this, whether it be the on-set rumors and all this stuff, if that was actually true, because it's obviously not, but if that stuff was true, Josh Trank would not be sitting next to Simon Kinberg promoting the movie. They would be having everybody else promoting the movie. They would not risk it. The studio wouldn't. It's over $100 million investment. They would be trying to hide him away from everything. They're now putting him front and center, which means they have a lot of confidence in this. On top of that, they've bumped up the release date of the sequel. Now, we all thought that was because they're going to use that as a reboot, but that's not the case, obviously. Josh Trank and Simon Kinberg, even in this interview, stated that while, yes, they do have plans for the sequel, but they are focusing inherently on this movie. They are trying to make this movie as good as it can be. Now, getting back to the trailer, there are a lot of really cool, interesting elements about this. First off, it is a teaser trailer. This is not really giving anything away. This is more setting up the tone, what we're going to be getting out of this movie in terms of what we feel, what is going to be conveyed to us. This is not going to be a fun, flashy, energetic movie. This is going to be a very character-driven story with really cool action sequences, because we did get a quick glimpse at the negative zone, or Dimension N, I think is what they're going to be referring it to in the movie, although that hasn't been confirmed yet. But there are a lot of, you get just minor, brief glimpses of everything. I'm actually into the containment suits. I actually think they serve a purpose. They're a lot when I heard containment suits, I thought bulky. I thought like astronaut type suits. I thought hazmat suits. And these things are not. They are very much like the suits that they would have worn in the comics. They're obviously not spandex, but they are skin tight. They have a purpose. They have a design to them which will work and function with each individual power, which I think is really cool. There are a couple of elements in the trailer, though, that, especially if you look really closely, that are interesting. First off, when the group of people are walking into the device, the teleportation device, there are 6 people. Now, that could be the 4, so that could be Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm, and Reed Richards, and Victor Domashev, who is now the new Victor Von Doom, and I can't remember the actual character's name, but the Mole Man. Tim Blake Nelson's character plays the Mole Man. Now, that would explain how all these people would inherently get their powers. If Mole Man indeed has powers, we still don't know about that yet. We don't even really know if he... Oh, Samuel... No, that's from the Hulk. But we don't even know if the Mole Man in this movie is going to have powers, or if he's even going to be called that, if it's just going to be his regular name. So a lot of this stuff is still up in the air. But this trailer answered a lot of the questions that needed answering. The look of the film. Is it going to be Chronicle 2? Clearly it's not, because it's not found footage. This is a lot of Steadicam. This is a lot of camera crane motion, and it very smooth, very direct. You can see what's going on, which I really like. There's a lot about this trailer that works really, really well. And I think a lot of the people that have been hating on this movie are going to turn another cheek to this movie now. I really do. Because unless you are trying to just convince yourself that this movie is going to be bad and you do not want to give it the benefit of the doubt, then at that point you're going to think this trailer sucks. And everybody's open to their own opinion. Absolutely. I'm just telling you what my opinion is. And I just felt that this is going to be an inherently cool movie. This is going to be something different. We have not seen a movie like this before. And that, I think, is frightening a lot of people. They're immediately going to think it sucks because it's not like all these other films. But that is why they're doing it. They are trying to separate themselves, especially considering the fact we have 40 some odd superhero films coming out in the next 4 to 5 years. These need to differentiate themselves. They need to be different. Because if not, they're going to get lost in the shuffle. It's going to be, we've already seen that. We've already seen what you can do there. But no, if they do something unique and they do something new that we have not seen before and interact in such a way that, like, you can tell in this trailer, this is a real world. This is our world and how this would happen in our world. During their interview with Josh Trank and Simon Kinberg, they did say like they have a very David Cronenberg influence with this movie, especially, The Fly. And you can tell, just based on the trailer, you can tell that it has that sort of influence on it. But more importantly, they said this is about the horror of this experiment gone wrong and these abilities coming to these people and how it will horribly transform them and how their life is now going to be severely affected by it. It's not just a cool, like, hey, look, I can, turn into fire. It's how is this going to affect their lives? And that's a really cool viewpoint to have on this movie. So I'm really excited for it. My only downside that I found with this trailer, and it could just be that the CGI isn't done yet, but I felt that the sequences that were showing the negative zone, it wasn't as wacky as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be really cool and, cool's the wrong word. I thought it was going to be really, out there, really sci-fi. And what we got from it was almost just like another planet. That's all it looked like to me. And maybe it was just because my own expectations of what it was going to look like were vastly out there, like just really crazy weird designs, almost like Jodorowsky's Dune, like that kind of out there, scenario. And I didn't get that from the trailer. It could, again, be that they just don't have the CGI finished, or we're only getting very minor glimpses at it. There could be a lot more content that takes place there. We still don't know. This is very much a teaser, but I am definitely on board, especially that last shot in the trailer with the portal and them just all standing there. The first shot of the 4 together, and you see that portal coming down. They're sucking in like the plane. They're sucking in things from other universes. That, to me, there's a lot of potential for this movie to be very cool. And I've talked at length on the show about how I'm a big fan of hard sci-fi. And he even said, Josh Trank in his interview even said, this is a hard sci-fi. That's what he likes. And so he's bringing the science back into science fiction. I think that's the right way to go. Now, if you haven't watched the trailer yet, There is a link in the description of this video below so you can go and check that out for yourself and make up your own decision whether or not you liked it or if you didn't like it. But more importantly, I want to hear what your guys' opinion is. Did you like the trailer? Did you not like it? What did you like and what did you not like? What do you find that they could have done better? And just remember, this is a teaser trailer. This is not the full trailer. We're going to be getting another trailer for it probably in May. Because it comes out at the beginning of August. So we're probably going to get another trailer in sometime in May. So be on the lookout for that. I'm definitely excited for this. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. The movie's going to be opening up on August 6th of 2015. If we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. I touched on this briefly on yesterday's episode about Daniel Bruhl apparently being officially cast as Baron Zemo in Captain America Civil War. Now, there's a few other bits of information that, to me, like, I do believe that he is playing that character, but the source that this is coming from, there's something in there that to me just doesn't sound right. And so it was based on a leaked casting call. So there was a casting call that was put out there, casting sheet. It did say Daniel Bruhl, Baron Zemo. But on this casting call, there was also a leaked synopsis of the film. This is the synopsis supposedly from this leaked casting call. In Captain America Civil War, billionaire Tony Stark is pitted against Captain America, aka Steve Rogers, in an ethical face-off over the U.S. government's Superhuman Registration Act, which requires all superhuman individuals to register their powers and report to S.H.I.E.L.D. So that, right there, that end part, that to me is the biggest question mark of the whole thing. Because anybody out there who watches Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. knows that while S.H.I.E.L.D. was a big universe, and even looking at Captain America Winter Soldier, S.H.I.E.L.D. was dismantled. Like, S.H.I.E.L.D. was completely torn apart, and they are now working as almost like a vigilante group. Now, the only thing that could make sense is this is a massive, massive spoiler for the next season and a half of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That they are going to become the top dog. They're going to get back to the spot that they were at. And if that's the case, well, I mean, I think we all kind of assumed that, especially if you do watch the show. I think we assumed that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to get back to the spot where they were at the beginning, just with better characters, better acting, better storytelling, all that jazz. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how legitimate this is, only because as it stands right now, S.H.I.E.L.D. is debunked. Like, S.H.I.E.L.D. is done. They are a very small team now. They are starting to build up credentials with the government and military and all that kind of stuff in the show, but very, very, very slowly. Now, could that take a year and a half? It might. It definitely might. I think out of all the logistical choices for characters for him to play, Baron Zemo is one of the most obvious ones. So, I mean, it makes sense, but I still can't determine the legitimacy of the report. I mean, the movie is going to be starting filming in April, so we're going to have a lot more information within the next couple of months about this, but still, I really don't know if this is fully legitimate. Like I said, I believe he's playing Baron Zemo, but just where this comes from, I don't know if the legitimacy of it can be supported. I really don't. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Is there more to it that I'm just not seeing? Anything of that sort. What do you think of Daniel Bruhl actually playing Baron Zemo in Captain America Civil War? With hearing about all the additional characters that are coming in, do you think this is getting too packed? Is there going to be enough room for a villain of this stature unless they're setting him up to be used later on? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And until we get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. When I read this yesterday, this surprised the hell out of me. It looks as though Paramount Pictures have actually pushed up the release of Mission Impossible 5. It was originally scheduled to open on Christmas Day 2015. They've now pushed it up to July 31st, 2015. Now, usually when there's a shift of that length, it's usually the other direction. They usually push it back 5 months to give themselves a little bit more time. This, to me, shows a hell of a lot of confidence in this movie, because they're like, I mean, yes, they're taking it away from competing with Star Wars Episode 7. The smart decision, 100%. They knew it. They knew that that was not the right release date once Star Wars moved to December. So I think they've just been waiting to find the right time to announce when this movie is changing the release date. But them moving it to a midsummer, like July 31st, which is the same release date that Guardians of the Galaxy had last year. That to me shows this studio has a lot of confidence in this movie. Also, it does tell us that we're going to be getting a trailer for this movie most likely within the next couple of weeks. I actually wouldn't be surprised if we got a teaser trailer during the Super Bowl. I really wouldn't. This is a franchise that is coming off of its strongest film with Ghost Protocol. I mean, that to me was the absolute best Mission Impossible movie there's been. And I felt that they, with the exception of number 2, I felt that they've all been really, really good. Number 2 was a serviceable John Woo action film, but to me it didn't feel like a Mission Impossible film. I felt that he still needs to live within the realm of physics. And when he doesn't live within the realm of physics, then it takes away, he becomes a superhero instead of a super spy. So Ethan Hunt always needs to be the super spy. So having Mission Impossible 5 moved up 5 months, holy crap, is that a good sign. It's only going up against the remake of Point Break, which I'm still waiting for a trailer, but I'm curious about this movie. I really am. But it's also going up against Southpaw, which is another movie I'm very fascinated to see. That's the new Jake Gyllenhaal movie, directed by Antoine Fuqua. That's the one where Gyllenhaal looks absolutely roided out, freaked out, ripped. Like the method acting of this guy is next level. I mean, to me, he and Christian Bale are almost on the same level in terms of what they're capable, especially after watching Nightcrawler. I mean, if you watch Nightcrawler and you don't think that guy's on the same level as Christian Bale, you're out of your mind. He is a phenomenal actor. Now, has he done some poor roles? Yes. Every actor has. Everybody has. Has he done any poor, as Christopher Nolan ever done a poor film? Yes. Look at Dark Knight Rises. That to me showed that he was not focusing on that story anymore. He was focused on where Interstellar was going to go. And Interstellar was a movie that I really did like. Did it have its problems? Yes. But it was one of his better films, in my personal opinion. But, I mean, a better film of Christopher Nolan could be one of his worst because he makes inherently great films. His only almost bad film, I would say, was The Dark Knight Rises. Only because the movie completely fell apart. It had no through line in it. But that's another story for another day. Mission Impossible 5, another feather in its cap is the fact that Christopher McQuarrie is directing this movie. He is the one who also directed Tom Cruise in Jack Reacher, which I thought was a very good film. And he also rewrote the script for Edge of Tomorrow, which was one of Tom Cruise's best films in the last decade. I mean, he is on a resurgence with his career with, Ghost Protocol, Jack Reacher, and now Edge of Tomorrow, and now this. I think we're seeing a whole new phase in Tom Cruise's career. And the leaked shots of Tom Cruise holding onto the side of a giant military plane while it's flying 5,000 feet in the air. Okay, this movie has me really friggin' curious. I am definitely excited to see this movie. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that this shows confidence in the movie? Do you think that this is just a dumping ground time for the movie? Which I don't personally think. It's in the middle of summer, so I really don't. But what do you guys think? That's what I really want to know. I want to know what your guys' opinions are. I would like some more interaction on this. Write down your comments in the comment section or email them at movienewswithnicholson@gmail.com, and we'll try to discuss them on every Friday episode. But yeah, I'm definitely on board with this Mission Impossible 5 getting bumped up to July 31st. Expect a trailer within the next couple of weeks, most likely by the end of February, beginning of March at the latest, is when we'll see our first look at this movie. But it's going to be opening up July 31st. When we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. A few weeks ago, it was announced that Gary Whitta, the screenwriter of the upcoming Star Wars standalone film, had actually, after finishing his first draft, left the project. Now, based on both his comments and the comments from Lucasfilm, the split did seem amicable. It did seem like both parties had a really great time working together, and then they just split ways. Whether or not that was the initial agreement or whatever the case is, still stands on speculation. But there was a lot of rumor that Simon Kinberg would actually be the one to step in and take over scripting duties on the Star Wars spin-off film. It looks as though that was not the case, because Chris Weitz, the Academy Award-winning screenwriter of About a Boy, he also wrote such films as The Golden Compass and the upcoming adaptation of Cinderella, which is being directed by Kenneth Branagh. He is now the one who's going to be writing Gareth Edwards' spin-off Star Wars film. Now, this is still shrouded in secrecy. We still don't really know what this movie is. There's rumors that it's a Boba Fett movie. There's rumors that it's a a young Han Solo movie. There's rumors that it's a bounty hunter film set right before the events of Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, dealing with the theft of the plans for the Death Star. There's also rumors that it could be both a Boba Fett and Han Solo movie. like, it's just kind of all over the place. So I really don't know exactly what it's going to be. There's a lot more speculation that it would be the Bounty Hunter movie. And my only concern with that, and I stated that on the episode when the news came out, I just feel like they are, I just feel like they are doing a Suicide Squad, Sinister Six type movie because those have been the projects that have been in the news a lot. Now, it's a great story idea. Them going after, it's a movie about stealing the plans for the Death Star. That is in itself a really cool idea. But after, like, Suicide Squad's going to be coming out in August of that year. Shortly thereafter, we're going to be in September, 4 months later, we're going to be getting the Star Wars spinoff. And I don't want to see a Star Wars spinoff be accused of being the same type of movie. Look what happened with Dredd and The Raid. Those were two movies that had very similar type setups. Now, Dredd filmed its entire movie well before The Raid was filmed. The amount of special effects that were needed caused that movie to be delayed, and The Raid ended up coming out first, and then people accused Dredd of being a Raid ripoff. I don't want to see that with Star Wars. I don't think that it will happen to that extent, but I think there will still be some comments that are being made, and they're not necessary. There's a lot of other stories that they could deal with. I want them to do an Old Republic movie. I mean, Knights of the Old Republic is my favorite Star Wars video game. And I would love for them to adapt that while still maintaining their canon that they have. Not having to deal with expanded universe so much, but still dealing with the Old Republic. I think that could be really cool. It's a really visual style, unique movie. I think it could be really cool. But bringing somebody on like Chris Weitz. Chris Weitz has, he's got an Academy Award for screenwriting. I mean, the dude's the real deal. The guy knows how to write characters with layers. I mean, that's what we want from a Star Wars movie. That's one of the reasons why people hated the prequel trilogy. One of many reasons. But the fact that the characters were so cardboard cutout and so wooden that you weren't able to connect with it. And so then, just like what I always talk about with Transformers 4, the action and the special effects and the excitement was watered down because you didn't have a connection to the characters. And so if Chris Weitz is able to come in and really pump this thing up, like Gary Whitta probably came in and wrote a really great script or really great plot points to work with, and then Chris Weitz might be coming in and just punching up the character development in it. And then we might see it's a Chris Weitz and Gary Whitta written by. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, we're going to get a lot more information about this movie in the next couple of months, because if we're going along the same timeline of information we got from episode 7, at the beginning of April of last year, that's when we got the full cast announcement. And I think we're going to get something along those lines around the same time. Possibly they may even wait for Star Wars Celebration, which I think is around April 17th, in and around there. But yeah, I don't know what exactly we're going to be getting from this film. All I know is that Gareth Edwards is directing the movie, which I'm a fan of. I thought Godzilla was a fairly decent movie. My problem with Godzilla was A, there was not enough of the title character, and B, Aaron Taylor Johnson needs to, I don't know, maybe stop shooting heroin or something. I don't know. Get him out of that funk that he was in, because he was just, oh, look, a giant lizard. Like, he was just dead-faced, just plain-faced. He had no emotion. You couldn't get behind that character. But the whole movie was about Godzilla, and he was only in it for about 15 minutes. So that was my only problem with it. But I think that in the hands of Star Wars, I think he's in much better territory. I really liked the feel that he brought with Godzilla, and if he can bring that to a Star Wars film, it's going to be very different, which I am always a fan of. As long as they can pull it off, I'm a fan of different. So if they can do this, I'm definitely on board. As it stands right now, the Star Wars spinoff is scheduled for release December 16th, 2016. We should be getting some new information about this movie by Star Wars Celebration, but if we get any more information before then, I will definitely update you guys on here. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click the subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever we post a new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And also give us a like on our Facebook page at facebook.com/movie news with Niklsun. If you guys ever have a topic or a question you'd like to have talked about on the show, go ahead and put a comment in the comment section, or you can email us at movienewswithniklsun@gmail.com. On every Friday episode, we'll try to get to as many as we can. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.